when I was liberated, of course there was shooting and strafing and bombing, and the bridge, which was right a block away from us, was dynamited by the retreating Nazis, and the pieces of the bridge were falling, they were hitting our building and all that. And we knew pretty well the end was near. It was probably the worst winter Europe had experienced in I don't know how many years, the winter of 45. This was January. The Vistula, the river, was frozen solid, and they were coming across the river on tanks. That's how frozen it was. It was a river just about like the Saskatchewan here, about that width. The next thing I know, the tanks are coming across the river, and they are on our block. And there's no more bombing, no more strafing, no more leaflets. They were throwing leaflets by the million. The streets were covered with leaflets. I don't know what they said. I don't read Russian. And then I heard Russian singing. I heard singing. And I came out of the building very shyly. I was just sort of slinking by the wall. And they were sitting in the middle of the street. They made a bonfire. And they were eating around the bonfire, the soldiers. And some of them were no more than 12 years old. Little boys, little tiny boys were in the army with those quilted greenish jackets with those hats, and dancing and singing by the bonfire. And then one of them spotted me. And he said to me like this, come over. And believe me, he didn't have to ask me if I was hungry. I weigh 40 kilos. He's like that. And I went over, and he took something from the rucksack that was lying on the ground, and I take a look, and it's a box of sardines. It says a package of sardines, and it says USA on it. And gave me a can of sardines. It was the kind that if you remember the old Southern, they used to have a key that wound like that, because I didn't open it on the street. That was a treasure to take home. They were kind. They were very kind people, the Russians. By then we had no water because the pipes were broken. I don't know if they were bombed or if they were frozen, but we had no water. So I used to have to go to the other part of town, like going from West Edmonton to the south side, on the river, on the ice, no shoes, just newspapers on my feet, just a dress and a thin little coat that was too small for me, carrying water from south side.